Welcome back, esports fans, to Worlds 2020 Group Stage Day number 6. Now, our next game has some serious implications as for how this group is going to play out. And by serious implications, I mean, if this goes one way, the group is over and decided.
So, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, you can't get much more serious than this. So just to set the stage for you all here, it's JDG versus Rogue in our next game. If JDG wins, Rogue and PSG Talon are both eliminated, and Damwon and JDG will be the two teams moving forward from this group. If Rogue wins, hopes for both Rogue and PSG Talon will stay alive. So if you're all about the drama, if you're all about those nail-biting finishers that nobody knows who's going to win until the last game is done, you're cheering for Rogue. Otherwise, JDG could make swift work of this group.
Yeah, and I guess if you are all about the predictions going as planned and you just want your pick'ems to be correct, then root for JDG to finish the business here, because this group has been the clearest group delineated with Damwon #1 after their victory over JDG, but JDG also then a huge step and very clearly #2 with their dominant, super proactive approach that they took to their following games after Damwon. I really have liked the proactive playmaking that we saw from Damwon. They were very, very quick in their decisions for their macro as well, following up on some of these skirmish victories that they got. So that's why for Rogue, my eyes are super heavily on the jungle matchup here for Inspire, trying to get him a good matchup and something that they can actually create opportunities early on for the bottom lane should be the way to go, because this bottom lane for Rogue has really impressed. Hansama going super aggressive picks, Kalista, Draven, these types of things to try and get dragon control, try and make some of those plays, start adding to the pressure and building up towards soul victories.
Looking at the bans, we got Twisted Fate, Caitlyn, Nidalee, Lucian, Akali, and Irelia all banned away. I mentioned Nidalee's incredible presence in drafts so far in the tournament. She's going to be banned out here again. And there it is, first pick, Ornn for Rogue.
You like to see it, Captain Flowers. Finn on top side means Finn, on weak side means Finn on the tank. Ornn gonna hand out some value to the rest of his teammates. This is a very good opener for Rogue, considering the top laner he's going against here. Zoom is one of the most punishing in the 1v1s. So we shall see how JDG rotate their flex picks here to try and get Zoom the biggest of upper hands that they can possibly have to try and create some space there versus Finn, then maybe even out the bottom side via teleports and map pressure.
Well, looking at the two picks that, let's see if that Sylas is locked in. Okay, so both of these picks have some serious repercussions for that Ornn. They can punish this. Sylas, you mentioned in the last draft when Sylas was banned how you can steal the Ornn ulti away and have a lot of effect with it. And Sett, remember that Sett's ultimate scales off of the health of the opponent that he dunks, so you can just grab that big old meatball and throw him on the floor and do a ton of damage to his team if you position it correctly. But the response from Rogue, they're picking up Graves in the jungle. We've seen so much of this champion so far. We'll see more of them here today. And let's see if they lock that Azir.
Yeah, this is the determining pick. If they lock the Assassin for Larssen, they're going New Age Rogue. If they lock the Azir or the Corki, they're going old style Rogue. So it seems more old style Rogue here. This is what did lead to a lot of their success during the regular split for LEC, where Rogue and Mad Lions were at the top and they were pushing down G2 and Fnatic. It was this style for Rogue where they are very calculated. They've got, again, control mage here for Larssen. I think he's been really good on the Azir, on the Orianna. So we shall see if they can, maybe shift something up with the bottom lane picks. There is a reason why Rogue are saving their bot lane picks here towards the end of the draft, which is fairly rare in the current meta. And we shall see what the surprise is after the bans come through. There is, again, the pressure draft from JDG. This is something we saw in the first round robin. I absolutely loved it. They picked 4 melee champions. They called over Kanavi to push mid lane for Yagao and then go dive. Like, they constantly are looking for kill threat, for pressure moves to create openings for themselves with these dive possibilities. And with the Ekko pickup, that is going to go a long way for a dangerous matchup.
I like the Ashe ban from a team that's drafting multiple melee champions, stopping her from keeping you at bay with the long range and the permanent slows. Ezreal ban will be the choice here for Rogue, like that as well. If everybody's diving in together, an AD carry that can keep himself safe from the counterattack of the enemy team would be a good one to ban out. Let's see what the final ban here is from JDG. That clock is running down. Senna.
Yeah, taking away some of the possible safety. For me, again, though, I'm looking at Rogue for an aggro bottom lane. I really think that is the area of the map where they should be trying to play their early game off of. And especially since you've got Orianna and Ornn for your solo lanes. Orianna excels in midfield as well as in scaling and bringing the utility for later. So it is going to be up to the bottom side to try and create that sort of resilient action.
Twitch banned away. Okay, another AD carry focused ban here. So honestly, the second phase of bans, all AD carries all the time, and the Jhin is locked in for JDG. You can see there on your screen, 62% win rate so far, Mr. Kobe. Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's also one of the AD carries that excels greatly when you have possible dive comps. When you have multiple melee allies, Jhin is able to keep super long range, and usually marksmen have a difficult time following up on those types of plays. But Jhin, obviously, with the extended range, can not only snare people to accelerate midfield picks here for the melee champions and land your W, but also follow up with the kills on anybody that does get away. Plus, it's one of the AD carries that does have a pretty nice power curve, just stacking a bunch of damage early on and possibly bringing some lethality to what is already a double mage composition that they have with Ekko and Sylas.
Hey, Kobe, you said you wanted some aggressive bot laning. How's Kalista Pantheon sound?
That's just what the doctor ordered, Captain Flowers. I am one of the people that always roots for the underdog, always roots for upsets in these groups. I want to see Rogue make this group interesting. VandeR and Hans Sama with the Omega pairing of playmaking.
Oh, baby. Pantheon and Kalista. For those of y'all who might have missed the number pop up on your screen when the Pantheon was locked in, 71% win rate so far at Worlds. And the final pick of the draft will be the Camille for Zoom. So that Sett that was locked in early will go down to LvMao. He'll be able to use that one against the Pantheon there in the bottom lane. But man, Kalista Pantheon, this is such a deadly duo.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy watching it. The possibilities are really endless here. And whenever you have a matchup like this, I think the priority on an early sweeper on control wards in your lane brush just rises like crazy. Because if you have a Graves slipping into a lane gank through your lane brush, which is kind of an underutilized strategy, especially for bottom side, since usually there are a lot more wards that are super prevalent, that extra power goes twofold when you have a Pantheon and Kalista, which are extremely good at tower diving, because you have multiple ways to drop tower aggro. Pantheon can immune tower shots. You can also then Kalista ult him out. Plenty of crowd control to set up Graves damage. The only problem with this loadout from Rogue is that the plan is so clear.
Yeah,
and especially for the early stages, very clear.
So that just means that JDG will have to have their own answer to that plan already crafted and ready to go, unless they want to be the victims of that Kalista Pantheon power, man. Just thinking about Pantheon E in combination with Kalista ulti and what you're talking about with the ways that they can juggle the aggro, stop the damage. It's such a difficult situation to deal with and actually be able to effectively target them, especially with Kalista going into a matchup against multiple melee champions. You've got to make sure you're hitting those skill shots, getting the CC down onto her. Otherwise, very easy for that champion to kite melee opponents out with the martial cadence.
Also, Pantheon pretty thematically accurate for this group, as Rogue have been drafted into the group of death, and the Spartans, they're trying to pull off a big victory here.
He's holding them off at the pass.
Let's see if they can pull it off. JDG, meanwhile, they want to head into their rematch with Damwon with full confidence. So they are looking to stomp their way through today till they're meeting up with Damwon again and really fight Damwon for that #1 spot in the group. Because coming into the tournament, this was a fairly close playing field for JDG. But after the first game, and it's just a best of one game where Damwon were so easily able to overcome JDG in skirmish after skirmish and outplay after outplay, I think a lot of people have actually lost a decent amount of confidence there. And JDG want to build that back up to build the hype for the rematch.
All right, once again, setting the stage for those of y'all who might not have been with us here at the very beginning when we came back to the broadcast. Remember, if JDG wins this game, Rogue and PSG Talon are both eliminated from Worlds. Yes, they will play out the rest of their games today, but the outcome of those games will not matter. The only thing that'll still be left to be decided is between JDG and Damwon for who will take first seed and who will take second. If Rogue wins this game, PSG Talon and Rogue both still have their hopes alive moving forward into the rest of the matches. So a lot on the line here. Rogue, it's do or die in this match.
Now, let's get into some interesting stats here because
Okay.
we like to look at the proximities that players have to each other in the first 15 minutes. Your percentage of time that you spend near other players. And for looking at the bottom lane, Hansama and VandeR, so far they have one of the highest duo proximities, time spent together. Usually, that indicates a lack of roaming. But remember that when this bottom lane roamed already in group stage, they were roaming together. They duo ganked multiple times towards the mid lane. So they are still very active, despite having a very close amount of time spent together. So especially when they get the early push. Look for those opportunities. Inspired here, though, with a blue into red start here for Graves right over the back of the wall. When you play against Sylas jungle, you want to make it about farming because Sylas jungle's farming is terrible. As bottom lane gets pushed out and ignited, a little bit close for comfort there for LokeN, but Graves farming versus Sylas farming
Not close.
is a freaking Grand Canyon of a difference. And Inspired.
Oh, he's going to find him right walking into the brush right there. Kanavi tries to stroll on over, thinks he's got a red buff waiting for him. Instead, it's just a mouthful of buckshot. You hate to see it. Inspired with the smite there as well, making sure he gets the big chicken out of that raptor camp. Everything's going over the way of Rogue here in this top side of the jungle.
And that jungle matchup gets really difficult for the Sylas. If you get behind early and you are forced into a pattern of catch-up farm, then you lose so much potential from this pick. Yeah, technically it is a flex pick, but if you put it into the jungle, you are putting yourself at a big possible deficit here. And I love to see how Inspired, one of the ones we are pointing out to look for in the intro for this matchup, is taking things into his own hands here. Really nice early path, takes away the red, cuts him off at the Raptors, and tries to take away any possible power here from the Sylas. If you delay his level 3, then he can't even get into skirmishing. Ooh, top side. Nice trade.
A little bit of spiciness here between Finn and Zoom. But yeah, Inspired also left one chicken in that camp when he was counter jungling, so that timer hasn't even reset.
Yeah, tell the tale of what happened here, chicken.
It's the worst. The chicken counter jungling. Now he's going to have to go in there, but Kanavi is trying to counter jungle the enemy red here now. He has backup from his bottom lane, and now VandeR's in some trouble. The Pantheon is caught out of position, but he takes the first blood. It is a 1-for-1 trade. Kanavi dead. Not the situation he needed to be in. He already lost his red. He tries to steal one back, and instead, he just leashes it for Graves. Put the TY less than 3 in the all chat after that one. He just did you a favor.
Well, Flowers, it wasn't 1 versus 300, but it was 1 versus 3 there for VandeR, and he comes away with the kill on the jungler like a true Spartan. What a beast of a support there. He completes the game plan of starving Kanavi. That catch-up being denied Kanavi means he is just scavenging for pickup here. He makes a pass towards topside. He's only got his Krug camp. As you mentioned, the chicken there in the
feels bad.
in the small camp is the only thing remaining for him. And that is not even a full chicken thigh. That is not a chicken breast. That is one crumb off of a popcorn chicken piece.
Oh, it's half a chicken nugget just for some reason left in the bottom of the box. And now the dive's coming in the bottom lane. It's a 3-man dive. Goodbye, LokeN. Rogue makes it happen.
Well, if you're a fan of the upsets, you are smiling ear to ear right now because the Jungle Kingdom has been enacted by Rogue. And again, it's a team game. VandeR doing his part, defending that red, taking down Kanavi. See what Kanavi can do to try and scavenge his way back into it, though. Because you see Inspired bottom side, he knows, all right, I've got a brief window. Let me get some camps here off of their side of the map before Orianna collapses. You saw Larssen heading over. He said, Kanavi, you can have the wolves, but you better get out of there before you start eyeballing that Grom.
You can have the wolves, but we draw the line at the big old frogs. Leave that alone, get the hell out of town, and it looks like he'll do just that. Honestly, the farm between these two is pretty similar in the jungle. Despite the early difficulties for Kanavi, he has done a good job catching up, finding that farm where he can with that wolf camp. So now he'll just go back to farming his own bottom side. Blue buff should be spawning again here pretty soon for both of these sides. As you can see, the trading back and forth in the top lane. Farm is even between them, so Finn's perfectly fine with that situation. Scaling up here on the Ornn. Does hit level 6 first. Goes for the Ornn horn, but Camille says, see you later. Finn, you got no mana. You can chase him down, but what are you going to do? He's not going to just stand there and let you bonk him.
Yeah, he's showing off the bowling skills, though. Does hit it. Got that, Camille. Didn't set her. Meanwhile, as you're mentioning, Kanavi here does have these small camps to rely upon. Yagao threatening the dive now, and there's no ult on Finn.
There's no ult on Finn, and both of these champions have aggro drop for whoever tanks the turret first. There you go. Yagao ends up using it, but now Zoom goes in. Hextech Ultimatum will buy him enough time to get the kill, but it's a trade 1-for-1 thanks to the turret damage. So Finn is down, and Kanavi and Yagao now doing the damage onto the turret, looking to take down those plates. But what's this, Kobe? Back in the bottom lane yet again. Inspired is looking for LokeN. The Jhin still has the flash, doesn't have to use it to escape this one. But now Sett is all alone underneath the turret. Here comes Larssen on the Orianna. The Haymaker doing good job just to try to buy a little bit more time. Inspired takes the kill, but LokeN with a deadly flourish to finish him off.
All right, honestly, cheers from the crowd for the kills for both weak sides. JDG answers with a kill there. Finn also really well played, honestly. In the 3v1 up there, he got multiple summoners forced out as well as getting the kill onto Zoom, because after Zoom drops aggro with the ultimate, he then autos to finish off the kill, reacquiring that tower aggro. So both weak sides come up with tower kills for themselves, and that is gonna upset a little bit of that early plan from Rogue. I think the bottom side there being turned back around for them is going to be a little bit of a hiccup. They still have the same look going forward, though. VandeR now back out onto the map to try and get that vision through the jungle here. You want to ward up Raptors and keep Raptors warded against Sylas so that you can control mid lane via that camp control. If you take away the Raptors, then it makes it very inefficient for junglers to be pathing around mid lane as much. And if you don't have kill threat with Ekko, then that matchup becomes a lot less potent.
And hey, look at Kanavi, man. He's the first of the junglers to hit level 6. He's got a farm advantage over Inspired, who did just hit level 6 himself. So Inspired's commitment to this bottom lane has given Kanavi a chance to catch up in terms of the farm values here overall. Inspired moves into the enemy jungle. He'll take out this blue buff, so Kanavi won't have that. However, Kanavi has completed his full Runic Echoes purchase, getting back out onto the map. Now it's a pretty big power spike compared to just the ingredients of Warrior being held by Inspired here. Wants to give the blue buff away to Larssen. Will be able to do just that, using the smoke screen to make sure there's no steal attempt from the side of JDG. And meanwhile, back in bottom lane, it's Hans Sama just working on these plates, getting as much extra money as they can. Look at the CS difference. 73 versus 45, and now LvMao has to try to get himself away from this one, or does he? The turnaround is there, and Kanavi smacks him upside the head with the chains. That's Inspired down on the ground, and JDG tying the game up in kills 4-4.
Well, LvMao is definitely laughing his ass off right there. Nice flash, Graves. He does lock him back up, and the dragon will go over to JDG.
JDG, happy about that one, man. It's always such a trap trying to deal with Sett. You think you caught him out, and all of a sudden, big ol' shield just turns things right back around and lets your opponents get the outplay. JDG happy about how that one went down. They also get the crab on the top half of the map, and they'll try to get a little bit of relief here in the bottom lane for LokeN and LvMao as they try to catch up in this farm. Like I was saying, it was 75 to 45, 80 to 58. Now that's the biggest discrepancy on this map.
Honestly, this is going to be a really fun game as we watch the mid-game transition because Rogue going with their similar style, they're trying to still get Ornn up to level 14 to hand out the extra gold value for the items, and bringing the extra engage and team fight power is kind of offset there by JDG having really good side lane potential. This is the extreme advantage that they have on the other side. It's going to be another dichotomy of side lanes versus team fight forcing. And those are always some of the most fun to watch because they put a lot of pressure on decision making and setting up through these objectives. Already, LvMao and Kanavi here with full vision control.
Oh, they're going for it. Sett wants to go in. Pantheon jumping into the fight first, and there you go. As soon as Pantheon's in some trouble, yoink, and he's right out of the trouble once again. However, because they had to use that disengage, JDG now feels confident to take over this top side of the river. You can see the Jhin traps being placed down on the ramp as the Rift Herald is secured, and we might see an attempt here from Rogue, but JDG will secure the Rift Herald. No fight here at the beginning. Yagao throwing out that parallel convergence. Orianna ulti finds its way onto the Ekko, using the ulti now to reset his HP. TP comes in. JDG on the retreat. VandeR down to 300 HP, looking to turn things around. Here goes the Sett. Haymaker comes out, not finding the kill, and Inspired will take the one kill of the fight. So it's a Rift Herald for support trade.
Yeah, LvMao gonna sacrifice himself for the good of the team. With that Ornn ultimate coming, it could have been multiple picks if everybody is, every man for himself, just trying to scatter there. But he turns around, looks death face on, and says, all right, I'll be the sacrifice. Dunks him right back into the rest of the team, and Rogue will get a counter kill in exchange for this Rift Herald. But this is such an early Rift Herald. 12 minutes, there's still plenty of time for JDG to get full value out of the Rift Herald pickup. So still, I definitely like it for them because, again, JDG are the ones with the extreme side lane potential there with Camille and Ekko. So if you have Rift Herald early on for this team, not only do you get turret plate money, but you get to easier transition into your side lanes for your Camille and your Ekko that much quicker.
I'm liking the fact that we got 9 kills in 12 minutes.
Hell yeah!
I like the fact that we got ourselves a nice, active, bloody game here, as Rogue are up about 700 gold compared to their counterparts. 2 long swords in the inventory of Inspired leads me to believe the serrated Dirk will be the next purchase here for the Graves, which I like to see considering the squishiness of the champions on the enemy team here once again, like we saw in the previous game. Kanavi stealing away the Ornn ulti here. Means the next fight could just be this massive collision between the 2 semi-trucks of the Ornn horns ramming into the fight, throwing everybody up in the air. Could turn into absolute madness. However, remember that there's plenty of CC on both sides too, and we know that one way to stop that Ornn horn is to interrupt him when he tries to knock it back. But Shelly is summoned up. They will be able to get bonus plate money out of this one, but here comes the Ornn. Jumping in with the Bellows Breath. TP gonna be used next. Sylas in some trouble. Kanavi trying to keep himself alive. A very nice shockwave, able to find the kill, and the jungler's already down. Rogue is making the moves and making the plays, and JDG is on the run.
Who said Finn was gonna get gapped here? Finn on Ornn, playing the team play for Rogue. Definitely counting here as he gets the knock up. He punishes Kanavi. That allows the follow-up from VandeR there. They get the kill. They also are able to finish off that Rift Herald and push heavily on the top side. The problem is going to be in the future to see Zoom's answer, because Zoom's answer comes in the form of that late game split push that we keep talking about, we keep setting up here. He is rushing straight for the Trinity Force, and you will be able to convert your Trinity Force procs into true damage later on, which makes it so scary for the Ornn. Honestly though, that initiation from Finn, locking up Kanavi, then the follow-up Shockwave, the follow-up from VandeR there, it was just really good team play from Rogue, and that is what they are going to have to rely on to win this game, those coordinated team plays to try and keep JDG off their win condition.
Yeah, that coordination really coming in clutch up there in that top side, making sure that they don't get any more value than they did out of the Rift Herald. The turret still surviving means that first turret bonus is also still on the table here. All plates are gone. We are past 14 minutes now, which means turrets can go down rather quickly if one team manages to out-macro the other and get everybody in position for it. Inspired's in a really bad spot here, tries to get himself away, but the collapse is coming down, and the haymaker right upside the jaw takes him out. Here comes the Hextech ultimatum, and now Finn's in a real bad spot, flashes over the wall, keeps himself alive, the curtain call is open, and Finn is gone. JDG have managed to find themselves 2 kills, but it's at the cost of their own mid laner. Yagao died with Chrono Break up. He was CC'd down and was not able to execute on that ulti. But JDG with a man advantage on the map. They go after the Drake. The enemy jungler still dead. They have the smite advantage and they'll secure that one, no contest. 2 Drakes to none.
Flowers, the map state is overwhelmingly in favor of JDG here. It is getting scary for Rogue. When you're the team with the long-range engage, with the team fight setup, and you're facing 2 dragons picked up by the team that has so many side lane options, you start to get very, very worried here. JDG, really big picks there. Taking down Graves inside the jungle, deep dive for them. Yagao and LvMao not hesitating on the cooldowns here. Everything expended to kill him before the rest of Rogue arrive, because Rogue rely on the synergy between players. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, they're early on Finn, so they force out all Finn's cooldowns, flashing over the wall, flash follow from Zoom to get the kill onto him, further feeding that Camille extra cash and allowing him some more presence here. You know, Trinity Force is completed. VandeR coming in to try and answer, but Zoom already backing off, not overextending.
And you saw there on the very bottom part of the screen in the replay too what happened to Yagao. He tried to maintain aggro on the rest of the team, but then, yeah, it didn't quite work out the way that he was expecting it to. Just got point and clicked by the Pantheon W, and that's not what he wanted to have happen. So now he's trying to escape in the 1v2 down here as Larssen comes to collapse. Finn on the chase. Meanwhile, topside problems for Zoom as he gets himself away with a Hextech ultimatum. Nice dodge, avoiding the bait up there. Yagao still trying to run away. Larssen continuing the chase. Parallel convergence coming down. Shockwave goes through. More damage onto Yagao. Kiting it out. How fancy are his feet? Can Yagao get away? Chrono Break right back into the loving, waiting arms of the Bonk Master himself. Finn picks up a kill on Yagao, but meanwhile on the top side, it's LokeN getting a kill onto Hansama. There are dead bodies all over Summoner's Rift. Half of the players in this game are seeing grayscale on their screen right now.
Time for a lesson, Captain Flowers. What we're seeing on our screen is the ramifications of trying to pull off 2 plays on 2 different sides of the map at the same time. Rogue pull off the 2v1 power play bottom side, but it takes so long to chase down an Ekko, and there's no teleport on Larssen, so Finn would have been the only one to join back topside. If you make that bold of a play, you had better be gigantically ahead in gold, because if you're playing on both sides of the map, yes, you have multiple players bottom side, that means you're at a disadvantage top side of the map. And because Rogue are unable to pull off their dive kill on Camille quick enough, they get collapsed on. JDG have the extra member topside. They punish all 3 members of Rogue that tried to dive Zoom and were unable to catch him, thus punishing the kind of greedy double side of the map play that you pull off. That's why we're always so surprised when we see teams going for multiple objectives at once, unless they already have a very big play or they know for certain that they can pull off that dive very quickly. If you're on a timer as soon as you start that attempt.
You've got to make it clean or else it turns mean. Now topside, Hansama putting all the auto attacks into this tier 1 turret. Should be able to pick this up no problem. And that's good because Rogue are starting to fall behind here in terms of gold a little bit. They got to make sure that JDG doesn't start to run away with this game. JDG currently up 2,000 gold, up 2 Drakes as well. Bottom side, looking for the dive onto Finn. 3v1 is the name of the game. The Ornn gets coming through. There's so many damn Rams running around the bottom lane. Finn tries to survive. He will be taken down. It's LvMao grabbing the kill, but it's a trade 1-for-1. Yagao again. No chrono break, and the man is dead.
I mean, what can he do against Finn? The CC lock is there. Boom! Finn's able to at least get a counter kill on himself for the dive attempt. I saw that little pop up on the edge of the screen there. I couldn't quite see what it was, but some dead body throwing up a flare.
Yeah, I saw. Bottom side, looks like we might have another dead body here in just a moment. Kanavi gets himself away, but I think just watching the one Ornn horn run through and then the next Ram show up and seemingly chase it off the map.
Welcome to the concert of Ornn, Captain Flowers.
Sylas is one of the wackiest champions to have to commentate in a fast-paced fight in League of Legends because he just makes everything so much more difficult to follow because you never know where it's going to be. But hey, we're still doing our best. We're keeping up with it. It's 10 seconds until the next Drake spawns. This is a Mountain Soul this time around, and JDG currently have 2 Drakes already in their pocket. They're bringing in the entire squad, looking to set up here for this play. Zoom gets himself out, has to flash. Otherwise could have been caught out there, and they do not want to run into this in a 5 versus 4. Speaking of 5v4, it might be Rogue who's in that situation now. Finn runs away, but with a curtain call opened up, surely the man has no escape, and LokeN puts the 4th bullet in his back. JDG, now with a man advantage on the map, will look to take their 3rd Drake and move on to Soul Point. Orianna ball in the pit. Rogue trying to move around from the side, see if maybe there's some sort of an angle to find some sort of a move, but I do not think JDG will allow it. Instead, that will be 3rd Drake of the game for JDG.
Yeah, there's no way you fight without an Ornn ultimate on the side of Rogue. JDG, they're able to pick off Finn. 2 top laners picked out, Captain Flowers. Guess which one is going to get away? Either the highly mobile Camille, that flashes plus has hookshot, or the giant Ornn that has very little mobility, also flashing there, but good follows from JDG to secure their 3rd dragon. And JDG being on Soul Point at 21.5 minutes really just re-emphasizes what we were talking about earlier. Now, though, like the rook from Rogue, they're trying to punish here, make a counterplay while they're spread out.
Okay. Let's see if Kanavi gets away from this one. Not much of a let's see to it. There wasn't enough collapse power there to really have any chance of blocking him down. So Kanavi walks out of that. That was an Ignite used by VandeR too, so that Summoner spell will not be available here for the next 3 minutes or so. That's an advantage for JDG as they can just walk Kanavi out without spending any of his own summoners in return. Finn on the Ornn, still level 12, needs to get that next level. Very important for power spiking him. Remember, 13 is where you get to upgrade the Sunfire Cape and the Abyssal Mask. That graph is looking pretty scary if you are a Rogue fan right now, and the gold is only continuing to grow as Zoom takes down that tier 2 in the bottom lane. Ornn finds the target. Bone plating is knocked off. Nice avoidance of some of the damage there with a Hextech ultimatum. Zoom still looking to get himself away, trying to find the outplay. Inspired comes down to join the mix, and it's Finn who gets the shutdown.
Now they have to worry about covering Baron here. They've got a control ward on it, so nothing given up here. Nice play by Rogue, collapsing once again onto Zoom, finding the kill. This is now 2 kills here for Orianna, fully stacked up. Seraphs does have the extra shield. Rogue are still hoping for that big team fight victory. Can they lock down LokeN, get the kill onto the backline, then deal with all the melees here? LokeN does have flash, so his positioning will be a lot easier than you would think against the Pantheon Ornn, which can be very devastating.
Yeah.
But having that flash will be critical for JDG, and knowing that he can just save it for another 2.5 minutes up until the dragon, I think that's probably the play there for JDG. They shouldn't actually risk cooldowns before the soul comes up because it's such a low risk, high reward for them. And Rogue are the ones that are going to try and actually, make one of these surprise plays. The possible way of them coming back here for Rogue, trying to create a pocket of Fog of War, to force one of those plays with Ornn into Orianna, Shockwave, a combination with the Kalista Pantheon is their possibility for getting a lead in that team fight.
One thing I'm a little concerned about here, Kobe, I'm going to be honest with you, is the damage output of Rogue. Look at the items coming through. In general, Kalista's not going to have the same damage as a crit marksman later on in the game. Then if you look at Orianna's itemization, it is a second item Chalice, which isn't going to do as much damage as something like a Rabadon's or a Spellbinder. Even Graves' itemization with a Hex Drinker after the Edge of Night. Very defensive choices coming out here from Rogue, which could be the difference between being able to find one of those picks and having somebody from JDG barely get away.
Well, we'll see if Finn can also get another level before the fight. If he can get one more level and an upgrade, probably Blade of the Ruin King for Hans Sama, that at least will give him a little bit more juice for this critical fight coming up. But kind of as expected, JDG just waiting it out. They're like, all right, we are not using cooldowns before this dragon.
No reason to.
1 minute left on the timer. 1 minute is generally the time where you get your recalls off. It takes about 30 seconds to walk back to the dragon after starting your reset. So that's where you see the coordination from the teams. You want to push out your minion wave. Those spawn every 30 seconds. Then you get your recall off for control wards and move into the river so you can have a good setup here and find your flank. JDG now, they've got Yagao on the top side. He just pushed that extra minion wave we talked about. Now going for the recall, and teleport is ready. There are deep wards through the red side jungle of Rogue, so it could be a possible flank there from the back.
30 seconds until that Drake Soul spawns. It's Rogue with control over this bot side river. They will have priority over the pit. They're trying to look for any sort of a chance to pick off someone from JDG that could be separated from the rest of the squad. But Yagao has put himself in a flank position immediately. If he pops that parallel convergence, this could be exactly what they're looking for, but instead it's going to be Rogue starting the fight off onto Kanavi, who tries to get himself away. VandeR's going to be thrown in. Aggressive Kalista ulti looking to find the damage. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the fight, Larssen's going to be in some trouble. Zoom diving in. Hextech Ultimatum does what it needs to do. Double kill over to the AD carry of JDG. Finn's on the run. Hansama's kiting around, but it will not matter. He goes down. Finn barely walking away, but the bullet in his back says no, sir. Triple kill for the Jhin, ace for JDG, and doom for Rogue in this bottom side team fight.
It's just so cool to watch the clean setups from JDG too. On the timers, boom, they push top wave, they go back for the recalls, they have their control wards, teleport flank from Yagao for their 3-person flank, 3 different directions, and honestly, Rogue made the good call to try and make the initiation before the flank actually comes in from JDG. They make the effort to attack Kanavi, go hard with their crowd control, try and force something to get an early lead in a team fight before JDG's coordination actually comes to fruition. But it's just not enough. You know, they get pincered from all sides here. And you see that Camille, second half of the Q onto Hansama, takes 50% of his life. Here's the initiation I'm talking about. You have to go super hard, super early. Rogue immediately forced down onto Kanavi, onto LokeN. But looking at the back, Zoom with the Hextech Ultimatum, they take down Larssen, the heart of the team fight. The Orianna is gone. That removes so much utility and damage from your team fight. And at that point, they're easily able to pick up the rest of the members. They kind of dissect the team fight of Rogue there that tried to make the first punch. You know, valiant effort by them.
36? Look, Orianna did 36.
What are you gonna do? So he got flanked by an Ekko and a Camille.
Did he hit half an auto attack?
It's
How did
hard.
he do 36? All right.
Honestly, that's a good question.
I don't know. Like, an auto attack has to do more than 36. All right, whatever. Orianna did 36, and now Rogue are starting up the Baron. They know this game is quickly slipping away from them.
So
they have to go for a Hail Mary here.
All right, we'll say they're trying to force it here. Teleport does come in. Let's get into the fight as Yagao makes the threat.
Yagao looking to come in as the curtain call opens up, chasing Rogue away. Now VandeR stuck in a hard spot away from the rest of the team. Pantheon trying to keep himself alive there with the E, but he won't be able to do it. Now the Deadly Flourish comes out, not going to find the mark, but it is going to slow them down. Ornn goes through, but it's not going to find a whole lot here. Rogue still in trouble. Larssen going to be jumped on. Yagao leading the charge as Kanavi steals away the Ornn, but he won't be able to find the second part of Doom. Grabbing the kill onto Larssen there. Hansama going to drop, Inspire going to drop, and JDG will take down everybody on Rogue sans Finn. Now the Baron is theirs, the map is theirs, the lane is theirs. JDG can do whatever the hell they please. They have taken over Summoner's Rift.
I found it, Flowers. We're paying so much attention to the team fights and the setup and the strategy for both teams. The Orianna is a support build Orianna. He's got an ardent sensor over here. That's how you do 36 damage. And again, in this team fight, once Zoom got on him, it was a 2-shot on the Orianna. Again, the idea for Rogue, as we've been talking about, is to fight front to back for their team fight. That's why he's got this support build, Orianna. They want to try and have a standard, quote-unquote, honorable team fight where you go, front to back, just work your way through. But JDG have been able to get off the flanks every single time. Here, just chasing them out of Baron, and we'll get another look at it. The long-range slows here from the Jhin to stack it up. VandeR's on the side, so all members just close in. They take down the Pantheon and just chase through with the advantage. Ornn does go through, but it's kited out, so it doesn't really get anything. And then you see the multiple forms of engage. First it was Yagao onto him, then Zoom goes in onto Larssen, just ult, boom, he gets 2-shot. And they have been destroyed. JDG building up for their reunion with Damwon Gaming. They want to get another say about it. They want to fight at the top of the group.
Kanavi's going in, and we're starting off yet another fight. The Sylas is in some trouble, going to be juggled around, nearly taken down. Goes back in for the heal there with the Kingslayer, and he will find it. Stays alive for now. Turns around, the curtain call's coming down, and there goes Han Sama. Yagao with the kill is inspired, barely hobbles away. They're looking to go over the wall to chase him down, but they won't be able to do it. Yagao, he found the R key this time. He finds the chrono break, he's staying alive, and JDG will continue their push. VandeR is rooted up, however, he does have that shield to keep him safe. A little bit more damage onto the mid lane, tier 3 turret takes it out. Kanavi still very low on health here, but JDG are confident moving forward. They have the advantage in terms of living players on the map. Han Sama's dead for another 15.
That's a good advantage to have.
That's a big ol' advantage to have, my friend. And Rogue are in one hell of a bad spot. They're 12,000 gold down. They're trying to defend their base, but it is so impossible at this point in time as JDG will look for the win push right here. Beautiful engage from LvMao, making sure he grabs all 3 with a face breaker. Now they're looking to finish this one off with a shockwave, trying to hold the line. But what can Rogue do against the assault from JDG? Zoom takes the kill onto VandeR. Finn tries to run away. JDG will end this game and secure their spot in the knockout stage.
Hype building for the clash at the top of the group, Captain Flowers. JDG, they've got their eyes set on Damwon, and they walk right through Rogue.
Rogue defeated means the end of their journey at Worlds 2020 is the group stage. They still will play out the remainder of their games here today. However, they are now mathematically eliminated from moving forward, as is PSG Talon. If the games play out in a way where the final scores between Damwon and JDG are tied, then we will have a tiebreaker there to see who gets first, who gets second. But that will involve, most likely, JDG having to take down Damwon in that rematch that you're hyping up. That's what it's all about now, is these two teams going head-to-head for that all-important first seed.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch, considering how important these first seeds are going to come with the way that the tournament is set up. This being said, I have really enjoyed still watching Rogue, especially the bottom lane duo ganks that they had earlier on in the tournament. I think as a team, they've really evolved this year. Happy to see what they can accomplish moving forward, even though they have been mathematically eliminated already for the group stage.
Yep. Rogue was a fun team to watch. I liked particularly how they debuted in this group in week 1 of this group stage, taking down PSG Talon. They had that deathless game where they looked so damn good, but unfortunately for them, they are eliminated now. And as we move towards our break, you can listen to the World's Anthem Take Over on Spotify. Head over to the League of Legends official playlist, stream Take Over, and watch the full behind-the-scenes video on the making of the music video of Take Over. This is available only on Spotify. Don't miss out. Be a part of it. Hop over. Watch that right now. We're going to be stepping away, but don't you go anywhere. More Worlds is coming your way after the break.
Hey Mercedes, legends run wild, each one unique. with astonishing power. Unstoppable. Master warriors. Ready to compete. Seeking glory. We live it, we breathe it. We have each other's back. Together, we become legends. Icons of a new generation.
No one is promised tomorrow.
Playtime's over. They're mine now. Fear the assassin with no master.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you're chasing. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Welcome to the climber. Reach for the summit. Visions break the one false step at the end. So higher and higher you're chasing. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. They will remember you. It is you fight among the dead beneath the dirt. But do you know yet? Or do you want it? And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, do you know if win or die? Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Pick up your weapon and face it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Desk. We are joined by Lyric from the LPL for a closer look at JDG versus Rogue. Hello, Lyric. Sorry.
Hey, Shokes. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
No problem at all. Sorry for messing up your name there. Let's talk about this game. And looking at the draft, I'd love to know from your side, as you know JDG very well, what in this is kind of typical of what you're used to seeing from JDG domestically in the LPL, or where they possibly changed it up?
The thing that's a bit more common is Kanavi going for a jungler like the Sylas. But honestly, when I saw this draft, I was pretty scared. They actually ran something similar against PSG a few days ago. But I really liked what Rogue had on their side to counter this. We saw it was really hard for JDG to get off these side lane dives that they wanted against the Ornn. And I think they really relied on Rogue making a few mistakes to let them out of this game.
Yeah, definitely. The mistakes that we saw throughout the game were they gave Kanavi especially breathing space, and I think that in itself was just too much to honestly overcome at some point. But what do you think about Rogue's execution throughout the game?
It was a bit disappointing because I feel like there was just a lot of like small moments that someone was out of place. We looked at the bot dive when Inspired got cut off the first time by the Jhin W, the second time with LvMao catching him out. Finn had a couple where he was going for flanks and wasn't really coordinated with his teams. And it was these really minuscule moments that I felt like really lost Rogue the game.
Yeah, I think we can agree with you on that. The minuscule moments who then turned into bigger moments because JDG knew how to capitalize. I want to take a look at this top lane fight, and I think this is a great example of how Rogue tried to be very proactive and recognized that they could have the upper hand in going for the kills and the engage here. But the issue is that they didn't ever seem to follow it up with something that could net them more.
Yeah, so what I liked about Rogue throughout the game was actually that they understood they had to play aggressive in order to overcome JDG. What I didn't like is how you put it already, that they didn't have a plan afterwards. So making kills happen is obviously good and all. It gets you a couple of net wins. Like you get 300 gold right there in Infusion. But if you don't follow it up with anything that is of substance, like a turret, a dragon, anything like that, you're not going to snowball the game. And I think that's where they faltered.
Indeed. Lyric, the next replay we're going to look at is the 4th Drake fight, which is very detrimental to Rogue. But, I mean, you know from your experience in the LPL that JDG, they love stacking those Drakes because they love to fight around them to get the advantage. When we got to that point, I guess you already knew this is over.
And this was just absolutely beautiful. We saw the deep ward flank coming in from Yagao. And even if you watch zoom off to the side, he's playing so patiently. They're waiting for that right angle to coordinate this. They get on Larssen very early, and then moving your eyes over to LvMao. It's just so amazing how this guy can not only find great flanks, but at the same time zone for LokeN, allowing him to take absolutely no damage.
LvMao was also the Oppo player of the game. We're going to take a look at some more highlights, I think, in just a second. What can you tell our audience about this guy who has quite the reputation in the LPL?
Oh my god, watching his growth has been insane. He's been in the LPL for a long time, and he's always been considered like middle tier to the upper echelon of supports, but it's really been a breakout year for him. I think the meta is great, allowing for these amazing support counter picks. We've seen his Bard time and time again. He's the captain of this team, and it's so nice to see him break out on the world stage.
It is, and to follow JDG's development as a whole, a couple of things I want to touch on before we run out of time. Very happy with that. There were some choices that kind of surprised me from the side of Rogue, and I hate ragging on a team that just lost, but it's also our job to kind of point out things that we find a little suspect. And I think the fact that they couldn't follow up with objectives was something. And there were some build choices that could have gone either way.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of criticizing builds too much, but I think this game was quite essential because of how the early game went. Like, Kalista wasn't that far ahead. She didn't have like 5-6 kills coming in. And the Grace was also not necessarily fed. So going for a supportive style build in mid lane where we went the Zerus into Athenes, into Ardent, is kind of weird when you have a jungler that also goes Hex Drinker and what else? Another item, but
we had no Ornn items.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. With no Ornn items, so that in itself was just really weird. So I don't quite understand what they were going for. I do think that it may have been practice that kind of led to them to this moment where they basically felt confident in that. But I do think that you have to adapt in the moment. I think that adaptability is really, really important when it comes down to it.
And I would like to kind of button it up for Rogue in that regard. They are now out of the World Championship, and I think there you touch on something. Rogue is a developing team that they haven't for a whole year, and I think you arrive at a point after a year in the World Championship where you've learned a lot, and you now have to apply kind of all of that against a team that is much better, and then you start making some mistakes, which I think is totally understandable. But Lyric, for the side of JDG, when I talked to you way in the beginning, we were talking about title favorites. They got knocked down a peg after that Dom 1 game. How are you feeling about them at this point in time and about their chances for a deep run?
So coming into the day, despite the fact I'm supposed to be an LPL guy, I was pretty terrified of Dom 1, but they've now shown 2 games against PSG that they are vulnerable. So I definitely think if JDG can come in, not kind of lose at level 1 or have an unfavorable draft, they get to the mid game, they can show the smartest team in the LPL that we've really hyped them up to be.
Okay, I hope that comes out later in the day, but JDG did just secure a spot in the quarterfinals. And for more on that, here's Law with Kanavi.
And thank you very much, Shox. The journey stops here for Rogue, but JDG just make it to quarterfinals. And Kanavi, I want to know, how do you feel right now? And does the performance you had match the expectations you had coming to group stage in the beginning?
네, 우선은 정말 축하드립니다. 오늘 경기는 어땠는지 또 여태까지 보여주신 경기력이 좀 기대하신 만큼 나왔다고 생각하나요?
일단 오늘 이겨서 좋고 사실 오늘 첫 판인데 좀 뭐랄까 손이 덜 풀려서 그런지 좀 이 판 좀 못했던 것 같아요.
Well, I'm happy that we secured this win today, but maybe because this was the first match of the game, I was a little bit less warmed up, so I wasn't performing at the best level right now.
Oh, interesting, because I really liked your Sylas here. And I have a question about this matchup, because even though it feels like inspired mistakes gave you room to breathe, I want to know more about the Sylas versus Graves matchup, because you're the only player at Worlds to play Sylas jungle.
네, 그래도 오늘 사일러스 경기력이 굉장히 압도적이었는데 사실 사일러스가 뭐 조금 상대방이 조금 덜 너무너무 힘들진 않게 할진 몰라도 어쨌든 사일러스의 급부 매첩이 어떤지 특히나 이제 사일을 정글로 활용하는 유일한 선수신데 사일러스에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 사일러스가 좀 초반에 약한데 그래서 상대방 정글은 그레이브즈라서 좀 그레이브즈가 초반에 먼저 많은 걸 만들어야지 그래야 좀 좋은 것 같아요. 사일러스가 그냥 무난히 가면 좋은 챔피언이라서 그런 것 같아요.
Well, even though Sylas is a bit weak in the early game, at the same time, it means that Graves has to make a lot of profits in the early game. But as the game goes by and time goes by, I'm pretty sure Sylas outscales him and has better ability in the late game. So I think, yeah, if the game goes without accidents, it's really good for Sylas.
Interesting. So nice pocket pick here if you can survive the early game. But okay, focusing on the end of the day now, you will have to face off against Damwon again. We know how things went last time, but how do you expect this one to go?
네, 오늘 마지막 경기 상대는 담원인데 물론 지난번에 경기 결과는 모두가 알고 있지만 이번에는 어떤 식으로 경기 흘러갈 것 같나요?
사실 지난번에는 약간 관중들이 보시기에 좀 저희가 일방적으로 진 것처럼 보였는데 이번에는 좀 막상막하 그런 구도를 만들 수 있게 해야 될 것 같아요.
Well, for the audience, I'm pretty sure that game, the earlier game, looked a little bit one-sided for Damwon, but this time around, we're going to make it look neck and neck.
All right, well, I wish you the best of luck in that game. 감사합니다 for the interview, and Jason, thank you again for the translation. And we're going to take a break now, and we'll come back in a few minutes for Damwon versus Rogue. Stay tuned.
Valiant effort by Rogue, avoiding that killing blow for so long. Damwon also never made the mistake to give Rogue that engage where they could turn around the fight.